Good morning. I'm Audrey Johnson with the UNA Campus Report.
And I'm Ellen McDonald.
This morning, we're bringing you news of a former Alabama state trooper pleading guilty to assault charges, a local business losing their license, and a lawsuit filed against the city of Florence.
We also sat down with the new SGA president and vice president to talk about the election and their plans for the upcoming term.
Alabama lawmakers are considering two lottery bills. Senator Greg Albritton of Atmore introduced a bill that would allow gambling inside casinos and sports betting. The bill submitted by Representative Chip Brown of Hollings Island would allow for gambling as long as it is not done electronically. Most lawmakers do not think these bills will pass because there are only a few days left in session. Senator Gerald Allen told CBS 42 it is unlikely for the bills to pass. He said, for one, it is an election year. That's probably the big item. There's too many moving parts in the legislation that's being presented. CBS 42 political analyst Steve Flowers said polling shows Alabamians will likely vote to pass this bill if it can pass in the legislature. Alabamians are tired of their money going out of state, Flowers said.
A battery plant that will employ 600 people in Woodstock, Alabama, begins full operations in April, according to the New York Times. Mercedes invested $1 billion in the Woodstock facility, which will provide the power for its new electric sports utility vehicles. The luxury German car maker has had a factory in Tuscaloosa since 1990. The opening of this plant comes as a shift to electric vehicles is inspiring a growth of wave of investment in the South. Mercedes chief executive Ola Kalenius says the state is most definitely a net positive. According to the Alabama Secretary of Labor, Fitzgerald Washington, Alabama officials are ecstatic about this investment.
We now turn to sports director CJ March for an athletics update.
All right, everybody, I'm CJ March, and it's time for your UNA Sports Update. Starting off first with UNA Beach Volleyball. The Lions fall short to FGCU on the final day of the ASUN Beach Volleyball tourney, but they ended their season 16-14, setting a new program record. Moving on to baseball, the Lions dropped the series at EKU, coming up short 8-15, and they finish off with a 9-28 record in the ASUN Conference. Moving on to softball, softball ends up falling up short to JSU 11-5, and they will have their next game at Sanford on the 27th at 5 p.m. Now to the golf scene. UNA golfers placed 6th at the ASUN Championships. The tourney will continue on Monday, and the final round is set for Tuesday. Also, UNA Athletics announced that there will be a huge announcement set for Monday. I am CJ March, and thank you for listening to the Sports Report.
A North Alabama sludge factory may be shutting down, according to AL.com. The sludge farm started its life as a dairy farm, but was since converted into a place to hold poultry waste. Denali Water Solutions, the group that operates the sludge farm at Hidden Valley in Morgan County, has informed local officials they'll see an increase in truck traffic hauling the sludge away. According to AL.com, Denali is an Arkansas-based company that disposes of waste from industrial food processors and sewage treatment plants by the spreading of the waste as fertilizer. The company was not publicly announced any plans, but the facility did not respond to multiple messages from AL.com, seeking comment for this and for previous stories.
The former state trooper with the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, Jason Fox, pleaded guilty on March 23rd to charges of harassment and third-degree assault. The charges stem from an incident that occurred in May of 2021. A Madison County grand jury indicted Fox on May 4th, 2021. Fox turned himself in at the Huntsville Police Department, where he was taken into police custody. ALEA officials confirmed he was placed on mandatory leave following the arrest. Fox was transported to the Madison County Correctional Facility and later released on a $600 bond. ALEA told WHNT News 19 that Fox was fired on July 23, 2021. HPD said at the time they had received the initial complaint and conducted a preliminary investigation. The investigation was then turned over to the Madison County District Attorney's Office. Court documents show that Fox was sentenced to 3 months in jail and 6 months of probation.
256 Exotics, an exotic pet store in Huntsville, Alabama, is once again under fire following an accident involving a young child. Shelby Rude was visiting the store with her family when her 3-year-old took interest in a Savannah Serval cat. The breed is a cross between a Serval cat and a domestic house cat. Rude says the cat was in a cage and had a rope around its neck. However, within seconds, the cat grabbed her daughter and had its paws and her head, causing bleeding. While at the hospital, Rude reached out to the store owner and asked if the cat was up to date on shots. The response was underwhelming and contained no apology and a recommendation to file a police report. With rumors of the attack on social media, renowned big cat lover and advocate Carol Baskin reached out to News 19 to offer her insight on the situation. The reason children and innocent bystanders continue to be injured by privately owned exotic cats is because the U.S. has a patchwork of laws that are ineffective, said Baskin. Baskin said the Big Cat Public Safety Act is currently before the U.S. Congress right now. The law would restrict public contact with big cats and phase out their possession, but serval cats are not included in the bill. Alabama is one of only 4 states with no law restricting such pets. Baskin says this has to change.
Broadway is coming back to Birmingham after doors have been closed since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. At the forefront of the upcoming shows is Hamilton. Fans were disappointed when the show was postponed to the 2022-2023 season last year. The show will run from January 24th to February 4th, 2023. In addition to Hamilton, the BJCC has announced Anastasia, Come From Away, 9 to 5 the musical, and RESPECT on its schedule this season. The full schedule can be seen on the BJCC website. Tickets for the new season of Broadway in Birmingham range from $220 to $435 for 4 shows, according to the Theater Guild website. Prices for single tickets have yet to be announced.
The University of North Alabama Student Government Association has a new president and vice president. We sat down with them to hear about their campaign and what they hope to do during their term. That gavel is the sound of a new student government at UNA. A new SGA president and vice president were inaugurated on Thursday, April 21st. Amber Sandwig was sworn in as SGA president and Kennedy Edwards as vice.
I really wanted to run for SGA president because I wanted to make a change on campus and I wanted to have a voice and I wanted to be the voice of the students to enact that change. We have a lot of things in mind, we have a lot of things planned, but I think the first thing is working with the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion to ask how SGA can give us full support.
Sandvik and Edwards ran with plans to better connect SGA to UNA students. They hope to begin an RSO liaison program and want to host Meet Your Senator events on campus. They both have a background in SGA, having started in Freshman Forum. Sandvik later served as the Student Affairs Chair and Edwards as the Diversity and Inclusion Advocate.
I wanted to run for SGA Vice President because I really love SGA and UNA, and I want to become the change it needs.
Both are passionate about promoting SGA's mission of leadership, advocacy, and service across campus.
I would have to say the friends I've made here, the connections I've made here has made going to UNA the best experience I could possibly have had.
I love the people of UNA as well. I love the teachers, the professors, how one-on-one it is and how personal it is.
Students with concerns or ideas for improving campus can stop by Sandvik or Edwards' office located in the GUC.
29-year-old Mark Anthony Harris was killed in a shooting at Joker's Restaurant in Sheffield, Alabama on April 10th. Sheffield Police Chief Ricky Terry said the police department was notified about the shooting around 1 a.m. Terry says the investigation is in its early stages, and officers are working to gather more information. No arrests have been announced in this case. Following the shooting, the restaurant lost its business license. This comes after multiple incidents, including another fatal shooting in 2021. In order to stay open after the first shooting, the business made an agreement with the city that there would be no more violent crimes at the location. "We can't afford to put public health at risk," said Sheffield Mayor Steve Stanley.
Agents with the Lauderdale County Drug Task Force say a search warrant was executed at a home on South Blair Street on Saturday, April 16th. Once arriving, agents saw the home's resident throw a box out the window. They searched the box and found over 2,800 fentanyl pills. The value of the pills was estimated to be around $56,000. The resident was identified as Martarius Shamar Adams. He was charged with attempting to commit a controlled substance crime.
As Red Cross Month comes to an end, there is an extreme need for volunteers. This year, the organization has struggled due to COVID-19 and stated that they need more than just blood donations. According to Way 31, volunteers make up 96% of the organization, but many of those volunteers had to leave because of the pandemic, which also prevented recruiting new volunteers. Volunteers are being encouraged in all parts of North Alabama, but the primary recruitment efforts will be focused on Morgan County. Chris Anderson, executive director of the North Alabama chapter of the American Red Cross, stated that volunteers will help individuals who have been affected by disasters like fires or severe weather. Blood donor ambassadors are also needed, and Red Cross is now opening virtual opportunities for this role. Right now, it is critical that we replace those volunteers and replace our workforce so that we're ready to prepare for whatever happens in North Alabama, Anderson said. In order to become a volunteer, make a donation, or donate blood, visit redcross.org.
The Masters Golf Tournament wrapped up last week. Sports director CJ March brings us the results.
The 2022 Masters is now in the books. Augusta National was the site of lots of action, starting with the three-part contest on Wednesday. Then, it was widely discussed and presumed that Tiger Woods will make his debut at this year's Masters. The media tracked Mr. Woods' private aircraft from his home in Jupiter, Florida, to arrive to Augusta, Georgia airport. Tiger did play and played well enough to make the cut on Friday evening. He was an amazing 3 under par at the end of 2 rounds. He struggled on Saturday and Sunday, but overall he was a winner just by showing up, competing, and marking the only cut 18 months only after a horrific accident in California that nearly took his life. Scottie Scheffler fired a 10 under par, winning the Masters tournament, and Rory McIlroy shot a 7 under par to finish second. The weather was very windy, unstable, and cold the entire weekend. Well, that would do it for your update on this year's Masters Golf Tournament coverage. Can't wait to see what happens next year.
The Florence Mall is looking for a new pop-up shop. All businesses are open to this opportunity, as the search is in partnership with the American Dream Project. They hope to find a winner who will receive a space in the mall to utilize during the holiday season. Lindsay Mueller, director of the American Dream Project, said, "We are excited to be hosting the search for Florence's next great pop-up shop for the second year. There are so many wonderful businesses and talented entrepreneurs in the Florence area, and this is a unique opportunity for someone to pilot a storefront during the busiest time of the year." The winner of last year's search was Rich Broke Boutique, and the winner is chosen by the Florence Mall. The winner will receive the open space for 12 weeks during the holiday season and will also earn a cash prize towards the design and build-out of the space. All rent will be covered by the mall, and applications are due May 7th. For more information, businesses can visit dreambighere.com.
A rare snake was spotted in Alabama for only the second time in 60 years. The once native eastern indigo snake was a regular part of the ecosystem until the 1950s, when most of the population vanished due to loss of habitat. The snake was found in early March, and it was discovered by members of the Alabama Wildlife and Freshwater Fisheries Division in the Koenig National Forest. This discovery is a sign of hope that efforts to reintroduce the species into Alabama are working. The Indigo Project was started in 2006 to aid the reintroduction of the species, and by 2010 the project was releasing captive raised indigos back into the wild. The snake found in March was a product of the released indigos repopulating. The Alabama Wildlife and Freshwater Fisheries Division made a Facebook statement on March 17th, saying the snake found yesterday indicates that the project is resulting in some thriving and reproducing indigos. Just what we wanted. Reintroducing a species to its native range is a daunting task, and we celebrate each step of its success.
2 Shoals teenagers were part of a group of 161 people arrested in Bay County, Florida on Sunday, March 27th. Omarius Richardson, 19 of Tuscumbia, was arrested on 1 count of unlicensed concealed carrying. LaMarcus Ricks, 19 of Florence, was arrested on 1 count of disorderly conduct. The arrest came as a result of increased police presence in Panama City Beach over spring break. Bay County Sheriff Tommy Ford said the Monday following the mass arrests, "These are behaviors that we as a community have fought before, won, and moved on to become a premier family destination. To anyone coming to Panama City Beach to commit a criminal act with an intent to take over our beach, we will continue the good fight and dedicate whatever resources necessary to keep Bay County safe."
Faultville resident Lonnie Kaufman was sentenced to 46 months in prison for his connection to the U.S. Capitol riots that took place in January of last year. Kaufman pleaded guilty to 2 counts of possession of an unregistered firearm and 1 count of the unlicensed carrying of a firearm in the District of Columbia. Kaufman was taken into custody on the day of the riot and explained his actions in a letter to his judge, stating that he just wanted to make sure his vote went to the person he voted for, and he never intended to hurt anyone. He also claims that he never went to the Capitol and that he played no part in the vandalizing of property. Kaufman admitted to possessing many different weapons at the riot in his plea agreement. As of April 1st, Kaufman will serve the remaining 46 months, as well as 3 years of probation and mental health treatment.
Governor Kay Ivey signed House Bill 143, known as the Nick Reisner Act, into law on Wednesday, April 13th. The bill is named in honor of Sergeant Nick Reisner, a Sheffield K-9 sergeant who was shot and killed while in the line of duty. Representative Philip Pettis sponsored the Nick Reisner Act, which will prevent anyone convicted of murder via a deadly weapon to be released early using Alabama's Good Time Law. The Good Time Law was approved by the legislature in 1980, and it allows prisoners to shorten their prison sentence through good time served. Governor Ivey stated, Sergeant Reisner's killer should have never been released from prison in the first place. And while there is nothing that can be done to reverse this horrific tragedy, this legislation will go a long way in ensuring violent offenders remain off of the streets.
Project Say Something is suing the city of Florence and police chief Ron Tyler after accusations of the city using policies to discourage protesters' First Amendment rights. The lawsuit, filed in federal court, claims the city and Chief Tyler used their parade permit and noise ordinance to discourage protesters from exercising their First Amendment rights. The local group protested the Confederate monument outside the Lauderdale County Courthouse. Organizations representing Project Say Something say Chief Tyler made increased stipulations for the group's ability to protest. The lawsuit claims that these new conditions led to a decrease in demonstrations by the organizations. Officials with the city say they have not been served with the lawsuit. They add that they do not comment on pending litigation.
Andre Quishon Horrison turned himself into Sheffield police on Tuesday after a fatal shooting last weekend. The drive-by shooting happened on Saturday, April 16th at 7:30 p.m. on Southeast 17th Street, according to Sheffield police. The victim, Kavion Lamont Ruffin, was already taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound upon arrival. He was later airlifted to Huntsville Hospital in critical condition. Sheffield police confirmed the victim passed away from his injuries on Tuesday night. Horrison turned himself in on Tuesday afternoon. He was taken to the Colbert County Jail where he is being held on attempted murder warrant for a $500,000 bond. Sheffield police say they are working with the district attorney's office to upgrade the charge to murder.
A former Florence pastor pleaded guilty to 3 counts of first-degree sex abuse Monday afternoon. John Thomas Martin, a former pastor at the Lighthouse Baptist Church, admitted in June 2019 that he had inappropriate relationships with boys younger than 16 years old. Martin's sentencing is set for June 24th at the Lauderdale County Courthouse in Florence. He will serve his time consecutively and register as a sex offender for the rest of his life.
The University of North Alabama softball team hosted their second annual Green Out game on Friday. The event supports the Alabama Kidney Foundation. The foundation is the only state-based nonprofit organization that provides financial assistance and support services for kidney patients in need. Joe Helene Patrick, regional director of the foundation, told News 19 that many people don't know how severely kidney disease and other kidney-related conditions affect Alabama. Alabama is ranked first in the nation for kidney patients receiving dialysis, Patrick said. We have 2 times the national average for chronic kidney failure. The foundation will also be hosting their annual Walk and Celebration event on May 1st. The event will be at River Heritage Park in Florence from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. The event is free, but donations are welcomed. All proceeds will go to supporting Alabama's low-income kidney dialysis patients.
Reports in Huntsville, Alabama indicate that the city headquarters of Lockheed Martin and Raytheon Corporation are supplying weapons in the fight for Ukraine. Javelin weapons made in Troy are being used by Ukrainian troops to fend off the Russian invasion. It has been reported that Javelin missiles are produced and supplies overseas to the fight in support of the Ukrainian army. These missiles are highly accurate and can shoulder-fired and highly lethal tank killers. Reports out of Huntsville indicate more missiles will be going into the next aid package recently approved by the United States President and the Congress. Lockheed Martin, with the support of Raytheon Industries, has the contract for these weapons, and the facility is located in Troy, Alabama. Military sales transactions are government to government. Lockheed Martin says they will work closely with the U.S. government on any military sales to international allies. More on this as the war in Ukraine continues.
John Arbuckle, the president and CEO of QBR Inc., a Huntsville-based medical tech testing company, was indicted for receiving millions of dollars in kickbacks. He faces other charges, including money laundering conspiracy, conspiracy to pay and receive kickbacks, and healthcare fraud conspiracy. These charges carry a maximum penalty of 25 years in prison. Arbuckle was indicted by a federal grand jury for allegedly paying and receiving millions of dollars in payment to doctors who referred patients to him for medically unnecessary nerve damage tests, according to court filings. Arbuckle allegedly paid more than $1 million by the doctors, and federal insurance programs were billed $10.4 million for the nerve damage tests.
With the UNA Campus Report, I'm Ellen McDonald.
And I'm Audrey Johnson. Thanks for watching.